Hello, everybody. I'm delighted to welcome Matthew Vail to Beyond the Portfolio podcast today, a marketing leader whose unconventional career path from research and development to bartending to now head marketing at DeMar Consulting Group offers a fascinating lens on authenticity in financial services. With an impressive track record of driving real results, including increasing organic traffic, increasing email open rates, Matthew brings a refreshing perspective on how storytelling and trust building truly can move the needle in this highly regulated industry. After we had connected over LinkedIn, we started jamming on what feels missing in this financially focused industry and how we might be able to change that narrative and perception. And so on top of all of this, on top of all of his credentials, Matthew also prioritizes giving back to his community through volunteering, which I absolutely love. So Matthew, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, John. Really excited to be on the podcast and to share what I've learned here and hopefully some insight into this space. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, you and me both. I'm really excited. Again, I'm just thinking back to when we first connected, had that first Zoom call. We were just jamming about marketing, and I really, really appreciate your insights here. So I briefly mentioned it, but you've had a very interesting career path. It didn't seem like it was a straight path forward. And so please walk us through a little bit of the different paths that you have been on and how they've kind of led you to where you are at now, heading marketing at DeMar Consulting.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks for the question. It's been really unconventional, really throughout my business career, I guess you could say. As a high schooler, I worked in hospitality. One big thing for me was football when I was a kid. So
Nice.
I was a leader, I was a captain, I was all that stuff. But hospitality, I was like a busser and eventually a server and things like that. So I tried to take things I learned on the football field in terms
Mm.
of like working in a team and things like that, and putting it into my work. And so that's how it came to be. When I was a server and a busser and eventually a bartender, I was like all about teams and working together and things like that. And that was early on at 18, 19 years old. Briefly, I grew up in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Mm.
And it's kind of a small mountain town, northern Arizona. It snows a lot. It's beautiful up there, but there's not a lot to do. When you go to college, I was fresh out of school. I was going to college that first year. I was going to serve tables. I was going to bartend. And then one of the great jobs up there was W.L. Gore and W.L. Gore and Associates in medical device manufacturing. And I was like, I need to get in there. And that's what I wanted to do. At the time, I was like, I don't really know what I want to do with my life, but I'm going to
Right.
see what I can do. So got in there and was doing artificial veins and arteries, really as a vascular graft division. I did that for about a year, moved up the ranks real quick, became like an in-room lead, but not the area lead. And then I pivoted into research and development. I started working
Mm.
in their artificial heart valve development. And that was really cool for a while, but I was struggling with myself during that time. And so I'll be honest, I mean, as a young man, I wasn't taking it really serious. It was a great job to
Mm.
have, but when you're struggling, you don't really appreciate the things you had. So I
Mm.
moved on from that, went back to serving and bartending and really did that for a number of years again. Till I finally got to a point where I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Mm.
I just spent better half of 10 years, the ups and downs of kind of some mental health, some identity issues of like, who am I as a person? Who am I as a professional?
Mm.
Finally, and then the pandemic hit. I was like, oh my God, this is making it worse. So uh,
Just to add a little bit more, why
add a
not?
little bit more to it. Yeah, you know. And so in 2021, I really was like, I got to make a change in my life. Have
Mm.
to make a change. I was 28 years old. I'm going to either go into manufacturing. I applied at Ball Corporation. I applied at all the
Mm.
warehouses in the West Phoenix area, or I'm going to go back to school and
Mm.
I'm going to try to figure it out. And so I took this chance and I went back to school and I started at community college and I did the school thing and all of this stuff. A couple years there, graduated with associates, moved on to ASU, and found a huge passion
Mm.
behind marketing and storytelling.
Mm.
This space of comparing the journey I had been on
Mm.
to the journey businesses take. and the struggles that people face, the struggles that businesses face. I was fortunate enough growing up to go to the Disneylands, the Universals, and things like that. And
Mm.
their kind of storytelling and the stuff that they did and the magic they brought to my life and how it enhanced it and the all of that stuff. I was like, I want to be a part of that
Mm.
for somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of drove me initially into marketing. As I widened my perspective on the marketing space, I got in touch with the CEO of DeMar Consulting Group, and he initially, I think I told you this last week. He initially was
Mhm.
like, "Hey, come and do some financial modeling." And I sat in on a meeting and was like, "No, no, my financial modeling is not for me." Staring at numbers, like it's interesting, but I was more interested in the story. How did DeMar Consulting Group come to be?
Mhm.
Why is it in business? What are the values? What are you
Mm.
trying to convey? That's where I landed, and I did a
Mm.
little internship and was able to do some email marketing and a little bit of social media and just kind of get my feet wet in every aspect. And I'm
Mm.
so grateful to the CEO for allowing me to learn and develop in this space
Mm.
because it was a unique experience to be in school and then to be kind of doing everything that has to do with marketing.
Yeah. Oh my
So here you
goodness.
go.
100%.
Here you go. This holistic thing where I went from serving bartending and R&D and medical device to being in school, finding a passion, and
Mm.
then doing a little bit of marketing. And now here we are as head of marketing and running, the strategic development in four different verticals, trying to figure out how we're going to talk to clients on one side in tax.
Mhm.
How do we talk to them in finance? How do we talk in analytics and wealth management? Who do we target? How do we position ourselves in the market? What kind of market are we capturing?
Yeah.
All of these questions start to come, and that's all good for marketing. But then pair that with the story you're trying to tell.
Mm.
What are we telling in finance? Are we talking to the
Mm.
clients who are just really consumed in their books and they just need a little bit of help
Mm.
to run their business? Are we talking to the people who I've had this dream of running my business, or I inherited this from my grandma, and
Mm.
and my grandma's just been doing books by hand for the last 50 years. How do we bring you into the age? Do you know what's
Right.
selling well? What story are you telling? How do we help
Mm.
convey our story to help tell your story? And that's really where it is. So
Yeah.
I take with me the lessons learned in football of working on a team and being a captain and leading in that space to working
Yeah.
in a bar setting where you're looked to kind of lead the front end because bartenders, that let's face it, that's the hierarchy they are. You're a busser, you're a server, you're a bartender, and that's what it is. So leading in a hospitality space to leading in a research and development space to now leading in a marketing space. It's just been one position after another of working in a team, leading and developing a team. Now here we are, and
Yeah.
learning a lot in this space. So yeah, it's been really unconventional, but really exciting to be a part of this business, to be a part of this journey, and to be able to really be a lifelong learner. Here we are. I'm 33 years old now. I've been in school for 4.5 years, 4 years.
Mm.
I can genuinely tell you that I've grown as a person just in the past 4 years, and completely different now than I was when I was then. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I got here.
No, amazing. And I really thank you for sharing because it is really fantastic to kind of hear from your perspective what it was like making those transitions from one career to the next, and how those all kind of interweave into where you are now and the impact that you're able to make. So thank you. And I feel like there's so many nuggets there, especially in terms of grit and pivoting and being able to stay flexible. And like you just mentioned, being a lifelong learner. And that's just
Mhm.
absolutely fantastic. So really happy for you in that regard, and would love to learn more about you kind of alluded to it. Now that you're head of marketing, you're leading several different verticals, but at the same time you're also talking to very different types of people or industries, and as I understand it, you're working B2B as well as B2C. And so how does that kind of interweave into how you're thinking about marketing, how you're thinking about who you're talking to on the other side, and how does that play out in your actual marketing strategy for DeMar? What have you found that's kind of been effective in this sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, when you're talking about B2B marketing, it's almost, I like to use a story brand where you have the hero and the client is the hero,
Mm,
and we offer as a guide, and then they come to us with a problem. We are the guide to their solution, and they
mm,
leave feeling more clarity or something
mm,
behind whatever their issue was when they come to us. We have resolved that with a solution that is unique to their problem, right?
mm, mhm,
And
mhm,
so in the B2B space, I feel that we've had a lot of success in changing how we approach the business as a whole. We know that businesses face uncertainty, especially in today's market. There's a lot of stuff going on. We
yeah,
know that
100.
a lot of businesses face gaps in knowledge and that we can provide. Whether that's and I kind of said this a little bit earlier, but whether
Mm,
that's I, uh, I'm spending so much time on my books. I'm spending so much time on my business taxes. I have so much data. I don't know what to do with it.
mm,
They come with these issues, and we guide them through a solution so that they leave feeling more clarity. So in the marketing space, that's the kind of language we try to convey, that hey, we are your guide here. We are
mm,
service leaders in this space, and we are here to support you and the goals that you have for your business. We want to be along for your journey. We want to support
yeah,
your journey. We don't need to come in and tell you exactly what to do. I don't feel an effective marketing scheme is telling somebody like, "Here's what you need to do." Now, consulting is consulting,
yeah,
but when you're trying to get people to come and believe in what you do, which is believing in us that we're able to you can trust us and take care of the important things like your books, financials, like your taxes. There really has to be value in what you bring to the table. And there has to be some proven record in some trust and being beside them in the process and not
mm,
necessarily dictating how they're going to get to this point. We're a guide. That's what it is.
yeah. So many of the points that you're making right now really make it sound like you're really emphasizing a partnership. It's about longevity. It's not just a one stop, get what you need and then leave. It doesn't really come to fruition in that sense. In order to really see progress, to see growth, you're coming in as, like you said, that guide in service and in trying to help grow alongside the businesses that you're interacting with.
I believe it's an effective way
Mm,
to build a business is that we are strategic partners in your success. We are we are here to help, we are here to support, we are here to guide, we are here to fill the blind spots that you may have in your knowledge with your business, or and this is another thing with B2B, take the complexity off of your plate so
mm,
that you can focus on what you love to do. I mean,
yeah.
there's businesses that we've worked with who literally they built a business out of, one of them was a veteran, and she just came to us and was like, I don't want to do any of this. I just want to do what I want to do. Like
Mm,
I have a passion for this. And so, okay, we can be that person in your space to take on the complexities of financial market or the books and things like that
yeah.
to really help you. And this is me talking about the business as a whole, but in terms of marketing, when we can
Mm,
convey that kind of language to you to say, yes, we can take that complexity off of your plate. Whether
mm,
that's in a posting, whether that's in the language we have on our website, in the way that we interact in our client one-on-ones, how we nurture relationships, how we
yeah.
do these things, that's where the marketing comes in. And when somebody sees our brand, that's what I hope they that they're here for guidance, support, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah. You're talking about how to actually take those understandings, the messaging, and actually present it in a way where, it resonates enough for someone to actually take action. And one of the great insights that I've seen and results that you've been able to create has to do with like emails, right? Your email
Yeah,
open rates are 55% email open rate, which is phenomenal. I feel like if I'm understand the industry average is like around that 20 to 30%
yeah,
probably. And so surpassing that by even double is phenomenal. And so kind of tying in your message that you just kind of shared now, what are some of the tactical things that other marketers or other firms, businesses that are also just trying to improve their engagement as they see it across email in particular, that you might recommend starting with to try and test out and try to improve incrementally?
Yeah, and I love this because this really is like at the heart of marketing. You have to understand your target.
Yeah.
You have to. If you don't understand your target, if you don't understand your clients, you're not going to get results.
Mm.
And really, I think for any marketer who's trying to find some success in this space, or at least grow their presence and things like that, maybe it isn't email marketing.
Mm.
Maybe it's in the viewership on traffic on your website. Maybe it's just in the content that you're putting out. In any case, you have to use effective writing. You have to understand who your audience is and who
Mm.
you're targeting. And for us, having a 55% email open rate, I think my last one hit like 60. And yeah, we I mean have a modest client list, but
Right.
when you're putting out relevant content to your client list, when you've segmented a list where stuff that's going out is relevant to the people you're talking to, whether it be tax, whether it be analytics, whether it be finance, whether it be wealth management, any number of things. When you're putting out content that people want, right? That's step number one.
Yeah.
And when you're putting out content and you're pairing the content that's like content that people want to read, content that is also integrated with why people should pay attention to it.
Mm.
Why is this relevant to me? And if you're writing it effectively, say when somebody reads that, they see themselves in it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is me. Don't talk about this isn't a generic email that goes out once a week. This is the email that's speaking to me. It's an email that is, and it's an email. Like it's not even
Yeah.
like we're putting on a webinar. This is the email,
Yeah.
and every once in a while you'll see those come across your inbox. I'm sure you get some emails. There's like that's really good. That's a really good newsletter. They're all some ones that are like that's not good. That's the thing with marketing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think things are going to kill. Like, oh, I know this is going to work, and then sometimes it just bombs, and you're like, okay, back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
If I was to tweak it just one step, understanding your target,
Mm.
using effective writing speaks to your audience,
Hmm.
why they should care on to read that you've put out, so that you know that the content is relevant to them, why they care about the content,
Yeah.
and third, how do you gather feedback once that's been made. So one thing that I do in my emails is I try to make it fun where I have like little emojis. Like, did
Yeah.
you
Oh, I
like
love that.
this? Did you like this? Yeah. Or no. But I also one step survey underneath it. It's like we're always looking to make our newsletter better. Um,
Yeah.
you take 5 questions, click on it, form, answer a few questions. Was the email too long? Is the frequency of the email good for you? Is the content good? Do you like blog postings? Do you like tips? Do you like these things? And then when you start to get that feedback and it's a constant loop, you can start to
Yeah.
curate your content to your audience even better. And I think that's really what's driven that high email open rate is that I've tried to listen to
Mm.
the data as it comes in. And the tip I would offer is listen to your data, always
Yeah.
be willing to take feedback. Don't take things personally if something bombs.
Yeah. Of
Back
course.
to the drawing board and just continue going. Keep putting stuff out. What you need.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I appreciate you sharing because I find so many similarities to video content. Like I really enjoy video content, but it's a very similar thing where it's really about listening. And I love that that's such a core emphasis on what you're doing, which is just listen to the people you're serving, the people you're helping and supporting at this moment. Like they will literally just tell you, whether it be in a
Yeah.
one question feedback, whether it's just in the actual actions that are being taken or the actions that aren't being taken. And so there's so much value that's coming from that. And one question that kind of jumps to my mind, I've been in the startup world a little bit, and as I'm working with more and more firms, there's always this interesting balance of how much should I be nurturing my current clientele, my current base of people that I'm helping, versus expanding out and trying to reach new people and establishing new relationships, that there's not much time invested in that for those individuals. So how do you think about finding that balance of nurturing your current base through these email newsletters, through webinars perhaps, and then the outbound of outreaching to try and find new relationships to build?
Yeah, yeah. So the marketing sales dilemma, right?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
is so like how much do we want to push sales and how much do we want to like maintain our position?
Mm,
And I think really what it comes down to is I can do as much research and things on this topic and still probably couldn't even give you a straight answer. Because at the
right.
end of the day, it's like if I could spend all my time nurturing the relationships I have,
Mm,
that would be great, because really when you take care of the people who take care of you, it's a great relationship and it's a great place to
yeah, of
be.
course.
The reality is that you do have to go out and you do have to find leads and you do have to kind of nurture even the leads coming in. You got to like,
Mm,
hey, and I think that goes back to what I said in the email stuff, is like understanding your target, understanding like who you're talking to and why it is important for them to listen to your message.
yeah.
And going back to the messaging that you have, your story that you're telling, why it's relevant,
Mm,
why they should listen to it, how that can guide them to help solve some of their business problems. So I think finding the balance in going to the sales is really, really important. You got to
hmm.
go out, you got to be a go getter. Having somebody who can be your dedicated person in the sales space. Think in the financial industry, it's not often that you're going to have somebody who's like going out and actually driving sales and stuff. But
Yeah.
if you had somebody who was kind of like your account executive, somebody who's in that space where
Mm,
you understand that maybe you're looking at a nonprofit. You
right.
understand there's a need in the nonprofit space for let's take a nonprofit who may have lost their status. And
Yeah.
there's a need for that. You want to help. It's good for everybody. It's good for business when you help nonprofits. So then you go out and you have an account exec that's like, hey, I'm not going to be too pushy with my lead, but I'm going to let them know that we're here for them.
Yeah.
And you're bringing that in. At the same time, you got somebody over here that's talking to the nonprofits you already have and gathering the feedback from them. What's working in this relationship? It's been good. We have in there. We can take some of that data and have it inform the sales.
Mm,
Say, hey, what we're doing here with this nonprofit and a couple of these nonprofits seems to be working well in that relationship. How do we integrate that into our sales pitch? How do we
yeah.
integrate that into how we talk? And I'm telling you, everything has to do with data and how they talk to each other. If you're not listening to your data, you're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticks.
Yeah.
And for marketing and sales, I mean, they got to talk to each other. They got to.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think what it comes down to is business. What are your goals? What are your goals? If your goals are driving leads and big fish or medium fish or something like that, and you're looking to land a lot of them, maybe prioritize the language that you put into your sales pitch and how you're driving that, and you check in with your clients every once in a while because you know that
Mm,
things are good over there, and you prioritize sales. If your priorities are maintaining this recurring relationship with your existing clients and you're kind of informing your sales team a little bit, then maybe that's the route you go. And you just take
yeah.
the solid data you have from your clients existing and inform your sales and hope that you're landing, 10 small fish instead of one big fish. And
Mm,
you grow your business that way. I would argue that that's the more effective way of scaling a business. But
mm,
everybody has different goals. Everyone has
yeah.
different priorities.
Yeah. No, fantastic. And I love that. It's really going back to analytics, data, figure out what's working, what's not, listen to what the data is telling you. And on top of that, listen to what your ideal clientele are telling you. If this is working, if it's not. And again, I just love that how much this is going back to listening, feedback, and how crucial that is. And love that you also brought up nonprofits, thinking of, service, servitude, and giving back and things of that nature. I know that this is something that's pretty crucial in your story and your journey. Again, I mentioned before, I have a soft spot. I did some volunteer work throughout college, and then post grad, I volunteered at a high school through the Precious Blood Volunteers. And so it's a really important aspect of it, and would love to learn more about how does servitude and giving back and volunteering play to your journey and your story?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is actually probably the biggest part of my journey. When we first started, I told you when I got out of high school, I was kind of lost.
Mhm.
Football was my whole life, and I didn't dive too deep into it, but I dealt with some identity issue as to like, who is Matt? Who am I now that football is over? Like, what do I do with myself?
Yeah, what's
Um,
next?
what's
That's all.
next? And to be completely transparent, I fell into deep depression, deep depression. And with that depression, I fell into alcoholism, to be completely frank. I fell really deep off of the end and didn't know how to manage myself. And so I was just this functioning person doing these day to day. I was having success at work. I was having success in the jobs I was doing. But I was drowning as a person. I was struggling, deeply struggling. And for years, it went on like that. From the time I was 20 years old, 18 years old, until I was 28, I struggled with depression and with alcohol. So when I talk about my service, been 5 years sober now, nearly. And when I talk about my nonprofit work, the service and giving back, when I first started changing myself, I felt this calling, this pull to need to give back to my community because I had turned my life 180 and I'm blessed for it to have a supportive family, to have supportive friends, to have the people around me that just lifted me up in my hardest time, who said, "You can do this," even when I didn't believe it myself, to get me to a place where I did believe in myself again and where I had a little bit of confidence underneath my belt.
Yeah.
I was like, to do that for somebody else. And so I started volunteering. I actually met a nonprofit. They were called the Human Services Campus at the time.
Mm.
They're called Keys to Change now. They're in downtown Phoenix. And essentially what I started doing was Project Connects. Project Connect just brings in, 19 different partner organizations from all over the valley. They have like IDs and social security cards and food stamps and transitional housing and clothes and food and everything that you could think of all in one place. And they jump from community to community. You could be in Surprise one week, you could be in Tempe the other week, you could be, like I said, I live in the valley, so it's all over these suburbs of Phoenix.
I see. Mm.
I felt what a what an awesome way to be able to give back,
Mm.
to go and talk to people, not necessarily share my story, but hear theirs,
Yeah.
to be to be a support for somebody who is trying to take that step to change their lives. That's what I started doing. I started going to these Project Connects. I started talking with people. I started hearing different stories that really struck me. I haven't, and there's nothing I can, there's no other or more rewarding feeling to know that you helped somebody get things that take for granted every day: clothes, shoes, food, shelter, a bottle of water, sitting next to somebody, just looking at them because they feel like they don't exist. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. It gives me chills, and it is rewarding to be able to help people into. I don't like the word inspire. It's not inspiring but to help motivate people to believe in themselves the same way my friends did for me, the same way my friends and my family did for me when I didn't do it for myself. If I could be that person to somebody else, I mean, that's what it's all about. Put all the
Yeah.
marketing stuff aside, put all the career stuff aside. That's where I'm grounded, is in that kind of service, is in
Yeah.
helping people. And that's what really drives everything that I do in my professional career. So, that's where my volunteer, the keys to change. I also did the Arizona Stand Down for Veterans. Look it up. Great program. And it's just Project Connect on a huge scale they do at the fairgrounds. But that's where I'm grounded. And that's
Yeah.
that's why I do it.
Wow. No, oh, Matthew, seriously, thank you so much for sharing that. Because one, I'm so glad to hear that you were able to get out of those darker times, those rougher scenarios, not only with your own strength, but more so with the strength of the people around you, your loved ones, your friends, your family. That you said this, which I absolutely loved. It they helped you get the confidence that you yourself wouldn't give yourself. And so being able to bring that out and how that's translated into the work that you do, not only in marketing, again, like you mentioned, marketing aside, just the volunteer work, supporting and hoping to give that more motivation to others to help them get out of the holes that they're currently in. And so that's just beautiful. And I'm so happy that we're able to share that part of it, because I love that that's kind of your driving force, it seems. So thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic and amazing. So,
Thank you for giving me the space to talk about it. It's not something I like talk about a lot. But it
right.
is deeply, deeply important to me, and it's definitely something that is shaped who I am now. It
Mm,
took me 10 years to figure out my identity, and
yeah.
and and now I'm very, very rooted in the person that I am and who I am, and this person that sits before you now cares, is deeply, deeply integrated in wanting to be a service to other people. That's what drives me. So thank you
Yeah.
for giving
No,
me the
that
space to do that.
of course. And it shows. It very much so shows in how you show up, how you present yourself, how you speak about the things that you're so passionate about. So thank you. And unfortunately, we are coming to the end here of the interview. But if there was one thing that you could leave with people, let's say one in the category of marketing and things of that nature to help grow businesses, support businesses. And then on the other hand, something about servitude and being able to find the answer of who are you, who am I? I think leaving with those two would be phenomenal, and I think a lot of people would appreciate that.
Well, starting with marketing, I think the best advice I can give and what I've learned is one, be patient with yourself.
Mm,
Know that marketing takes a while to see results. It is what it is when it comes to the things that you're doing. You're not going to see instant results. You might see a video go viral. You might see an email do really well, but your
mm,
SEO campaigns are going to take time to do.
mm,
Your rollout, different marketing campaigns, whether that be, hey, we're starting referrals, we're starting a new initiative over here. It's going to take time.
mm,
Consistent with your content posting.
mm,
Let your data inform you, and continue to listen to your clients, evolve your messaging, and stay rooted in the values of your business and yourself. Whether that's
mm,
you're a self-made startup and you're going, stay rooted in what you believe in,
mm.
and people can root out authenticity like crazy.
Thousand
Who you
percent.
are, who you are, sure that you're projecting that and being that person, and be patient with yourself because the results will come as long as you stay consistent. From a personal standpoint, think deeply about things that matter the most to you. Is that your family? Is that helping others? Maybe it's little things and waking up and making your bed in the morning, listening better, listening more, and having deep empathy for people and what they're going through, and understanding don't take everything personal.
Mm,
I think in finding yourself, it is important to be introspective, again, be patient, and follow things that you are most passionate about, not the things that
mm,
society tells you you should be passionate about, not the things that, oh, you should go and you should do this because this is what
mm.
everybody else is doing. It's more to you. Does that mean, oh, like I keep going back to family because that's what's important to me. Is
Yeah.
it your
Yeah.
family? Is it taking care of your loved ones? Is it the career that is important to you for a while? Maybe it's any number of things, but you are the only one that can answer that.
Yeah.
Say, go do the volunteering stuff. Go out and experiment. And I would say early career. But I don't even know. Even later, you can go find yourself at any point in time. You can do it. Believe in yourself. Surround yourself with people who fill in your blind spots, people who
Mm,
lift you up, positive in your life. And promise you will see who you are.
yeah. Oh my gosh. No, that's
Don't be
beautiful.
afraid. Do not be afraid to take risks and to
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
You don't learn unless you fail. You don't grow unless you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So do things that make you uncomfortable.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Matthew. Love these nuggets that we ended on here. I really appreciate you sharing not only your expertise, your insights, but even more so your story and being vulnerable and being able to share the beauty that comes from really working on yourself and listening to those around you and just being present in so many ways. The last thing here is if people want to follow you, find you, learn more about you, learn more from you, where's the best place that they can go so that they might be able to reach out and maybe even potentially work with you?
On LinkedIn, please
Okay.
connect with me on there. Send me a message. I'm happy to connect. I'm happy to meet, answer any questions, partner with you on projects, give tidbits of advice if you need that. Yeah, happy to connect on LinkedIn. So please, yeah, find me there.
Awesome. Well, Matthew, thank you again so much for your time today. Really appreciate it and looking forward to seeing what's coming next. And on top of that, maybe even having you back on the podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me today, John. I really appreciate the opportunity and thank you so much.